Welcome to another deep dive with us. Today, we're looking at some strong opinions about tattoos.
Oh, yeah?
And, it should be interesting because we're going to be breaking down this one perspective on how tattoos, especially on women, could actually reveal some deeper personality traits.
Interesting.
Specifically, we're going to be talking about a lack of impulse control.
I think it is fascinating how a simple choice like getting inked can spark such strong reactions. I mean, it's like this human tendency, right, to judge others based on appearances.
Totally. And the source material we have for this deep dive is, he does not hold back at all.
Oh, wow.
This is a monologue. And the speaker uses some really, really harsh language. We're talking words like demon, sickness. He even compares women with tattoos to a monkey with a razor blade.
Oh, my. That's pretty intense.
Yeah, it's a lot, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to break down his viewpoint, but we want to be super clear that we are not endorsing any of this, right? We're just trying to understand the logic, kind of like where he's coming from.
Yeah, and the assumptions behind the argument, even if we personally disagree.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's unpack this. His core belief is that getting a tattoo is all about instant gratification.
Okay.
He says that people who get them, they're not thinking about the long-term consequences.
Oh, interesting.
Like what that tattoo might look like when they're older, or even what other people are going to think.
Yeah, I can see that. Like that argument really taps into like a fear of permanence, the sense that those with tattoos haven't really like grappled with the weight of irreversible decisions.
Yeah.
He even shares an anecdote about a woman he dated who had a tattoo.
Oh, really?
And while she didn't cheat on him, he claims that she had exhibited other behaviors that he perceived as a lack of impulse control.
It seems like a bit of a leap, though, to assume that, one choice, like getting a tattoo, can predict a pattern of behavior.
It does make you think, right? Like, can we extrapolate broader personality traits just from a single action?
Yeah,
That's a big question.
It is a big question. And he gets even more, I guess, intense is the word I would use when he starts talking about attractive women.
Okay.
In particular, he says that beautiful women are less likely to develop impulse control because they've always gotten their way.
Oh, wow.
So basically, they're used to giving in to their whims and they never face consequences for their actions.
It's so interesting because that perspective also connects to like a broader societal stereotype, right? About beauty and like its potential downsides, like almost like being attractive somehow hinders personal growth.
Interesting.
I don't know. It really makes you wonder if that's a valid generalization or just a bias.
Yeah, haven't we all known people, attractive or not, who've struggled with impulse control at some point?
Totally.
I feel like he's kind of drawing a very direct line from physical appearance to a person's character.
Yeah.
And it just seems a little oversimplified.
Yeah, I think I agree. And this actually leads into his views on relationships.
Okay.
So he believes tattoos are a huge red flag for infidelity.
What?
Yeah. His logic is that if you can't resist the urge to get a tattoo, you probably can't resist other temptations either.
Oh, wow.
Even if it means risking your family.
That is a very bold claim.
It is. And it seems like his personal experience is kind of what's driving this argument, right?
Yeah, he does talk about, I remember being hurt by a woman with a tattoo.
Right.
And that has clearly shaped his current perspective. But it makes you think, like, how much do our own individual experiences, while valid, color our perceptions of an entire group of people?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if he's really letting one bad experience, like, totally cloud his judgment about a whole group of people.
Right.
And, it's important to note that he kind of ties this whole impulse control thing to like bigger societal shifts.
Yeah.
He says that in the past, there were like stronger forces keeping people faithful. Oh, interesting.
But now he's like, temptation is everywhere.
Yeah.
And he thinks that impulse control is even more crucial than it used to be.
It kind of sounds like he's longing for like a simpler time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe when social norms were clearer.
Yeah.
And people felt more pressure to just conform.
Right.
But isn't that kind of a romanticized view of the past, though?
Yeah.
Relationships have always been complicated, haven't they? It's not like they were ever simple.
And this idea of shifting societal pressures.
Yeah.
It's pretty fascinating.
It is.
It touches on how our expectations around relationships have evolved, like, over time.
Right.
Like, think about it.
Yeah.
Just a few decades ago,
Uh-huh.
tattoos were associated with, like, rebels and outsiders.
Yeah, yeah.
And now you see them everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, even in like professional settings.
Oh, totally. CEOs with full sleeves, doctors with these intricate designs.
Exactly.
It's a far cry from when they were taboo.
Yeah. Do you think maybe this guy's like clinging to an outdated perspective? It's definitely possible.
Yeah.
I mean, he seems really fixated on the idea that tattoos equal a lack of impulse control.
Yeah, and then he links that to infidelity.
Right. So,
like, it's a pretty direct line of reasoning.
Yeah.
Maybe it feels a bit simplistic.
It does to me, especially given how much our understanding of relationships has changed.
Totally.
I mean, it discounts the idea that people can make thoughtful decisions about their bodies.
Absolutely.
Even if it means a permanent modification.
Yeah.
And let's be real. I mean, tons of people with tattoos are in happy, committed relationships.
Exactly. I mean, reducing someone's capacity for fidelity down to just like one choice.
Right.
It feels very judgmental, right?
It does.
And don't forget what he said about attractive women.
Oh, right.
Being more prone to being impulsive.
Yeah. He said that beautiful women are less likely to develop impulse control.
Exactly.
It all plays into that stereotype.
Totally.
That beauty equals a lack of discipline or self-control.
What do you make of that argument?
I don't know. It's almost as if he's saying that attractive people haven't had to develop self-control.
Because they can just rely on their looks.
Right, because they've always gotten what they want.
Yeah, but isn't that a huge generalization?
It is. I feel like he's overlooking the fact that people,
regardless of appearance,
face challenges and develop coping mechanisms in their own way.
Totally.
It's not that straightforward.
No, not at all. And this brings us to his ideal.
Oh, yeah.
The untattooed woman.
The untattooed woman.
He sees her as the ultimate catch.
The one who has resisted all peer pressure, thought about all the long-term consequences.
Exactly.
And proven her superior impulse control.
Right. Like he's created this binary.
Yeah.
Tattooed equals impulsive and untrustworthy.
Right.
Untattooed equals level-headed and reliable.
Exactly.
What do you think, listener? Do you see things as black and white as that?
I don't.
Yeah.
It feels like he's missing all of the nuance and the individual variation that makes us human.
Right.
And it totally ignores the fact that people might choose to get tattoos for reasons that are deeply personal.
Like self-expression, commemorating a big event, spiritual practice.
He's reducing this complex choice down to just tattoo equals bad character.
Yeah, it feels like a missed opportunity to really understand the reasons why people make those decisions.
Yeah. And speaking of decisions, his comments about tramp stamps really stood out to me.
Yes, he uses very derogatory slang to describe lower back tattoos that were popular in the 90s.
Like he's saying they were a signal of promiscuity.
Yeah.
And yet he admits that he found them attractive back then.
He did.
So what shifted for him?
Right.
Was it just age, experience, or something more?
It could be that his views on relationships and commitment have changed over time, or maybe he's had specific experiences that have reinforced those negative associations. With tattoos, it's a reminder that our perceptions and judgments can really evolve as we go through life.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
It makes you realize that what might seem like a hard and fast truth at one point in our lives can take on a new meaning as we learn and grow.
Absolutely.
And are exposed to new perspectives.
Exactly. And that's a key takeaway from this deep dive, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're constantly learning, growing, reevaluating what we believe.
Yeah, it's like we're all on our own little journey.
Totally.
Constantly updating our worldview based on new information and experiences.
Yeah, and sometimes that means kind of revisiting old beliefs and seeing if they still hold up.
Exactly. So as we're wrapping up this deep dive into this one very strong opinion on tattoos, we want to leave you with some final thoughts.
Oh, okay.
To ponder.
I like it.
If tattoos aren't this reliable indicator of personality, as our speaker suggested, what other small choices do we make that might reveal more than we realize about ourselves or other people?
It's a good question.
Are we too quick to judge based on outward appearances?
Right.
How often do we make assumptions about someone based on their clothes, their hairstyle, even what kind of car they drink?
It's true. And how can we cultivate a more nuanced and empathetic understanding of everyone we meet?
Right.
Maybe instead of jumping to conclusions, we can approach each other with a little more curiosity,
Right.
Asking questions.
Yeah.
Trying to understand the stories behind the choices we make.
Because ultimately these choices,
Yeah.
from the clothes we wear to the tattoos we choose,
Mm-hmm.
it's a powerful form of self-expression.
Absolutely. They can tell a story.
Yeah.
About our values, our beliefs,
Our experiences.
our aspirations.
And while it's natural to form first impressions,
right.
It's important to remember that there's always more to the story than what we see on the surface.
Totally.
What might seem like a simple choice you could hold deep meaning for someone else.
Absolutely. So the next time you see someone with a tattoo, maybe instead of making assumptions, just take a second. Consider the story behind it. Maybe it's a symbol of resilience, a tribute to a loved one.
Right.
Or even just a beautiful piece of art that makes them happy.
Or maybe it's none of our business.
And maybe that.
And that's okay too.
Exactly.
The beauty of individuality is that we all get to choose how we express ourselves.
I love that.
We don't have to understand or agree with every choice.
Right.
But we can choose to approach each other with respect.
Yes.
And curiosity.
I agree.
Recognizing that we're all just navigating this world in our own way.
You know, our deep dives are all about encouraging you to think critically.
Yes.
Question your assumptions. Embrace the beautiful complexity of human behavior.
Because the more we understand ourselves and each other, the better we are at building those connections.
Absolutely.
So until next time, keep diving deep.
Keep diving.